Greetings, my excellent friend.
Welcome to Most Excellent Adventure to
Heavy Metal History.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the Heavy Metal History Podcast. This episode has been a long time coming, I feel like. My guest for this episode is my friend, Eric Weatherford. Eric, welcome to the podcast, buddy.
How's it going, everybody?
For those of you that don't know, me and Eric have been friends for a long time, and years ago, we had another podcast called Everything We Like is Awesome. And to be honest, there was a lot of seeds of this podcast in those old episodes.
And everything that we like is still awesome,
So this is true. Everything we like is still awesome. But I brought you here today to talk about a few things. Eric's been in not a bunch of bands, but Eric used to be in a heavy metalcore.
Oh, we'll just say metalcore. That's the easiest.
Shred-tastic kind of Christian band. Is that fair? Or was that?
It's a very complicated, longer story than that.
Anyways, they were called With Faith or Flames. If it wasn't for him in that band, I probably wouldn't have gotten to do what I did for a number of years. But we'll probably talk about that a little bit. And then his new stuff that he's been working on, merging synthwave and heavy metal, shred guitar mostly. And then we're going to talk about some year-end stuff, year-end records.
Oh, what a year.
Oh, man. What a fucking year. But I guess... before that, man, I know this is kind of like a weird question because I know you so well, but the thing I like to start with, even though you're my friend, what are some records and bands that inspired you, that got you into heavy metal for people listening out there?
Okay, so the heavy metal journey of one Eric Weatherford. Okay, I guess we would... you have to start at the top. Black Sabbath was the gateway drug. Tons and tons of Black Sabbath. That led into more kind of mainstream, like Pantera, Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, Judas Priest, just your standard heavy metal, capitalized, kind of standard fare. And then from there, somebody at a random local music festival showed me Cannibal Corpse. And that, my God, that kicked in the doors and shoved death metal down my throat. So that
do you remember what record it was, or was it just a random song?
Oh my God, I don't think it was Eaten Back to Life. Man, what the
Those kind of things are hard to
Too
remember,
many
though.
Cannibal Corpse songs.
Yeah,
it's like, was it Unleashing the Bloodthirst? Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but after I exhausted their catalog, I remember going down to a local record store that had a lot of just kind of random bootlegs and used records and stuff like that. And I remember seeing this album cover that just completely blew me away, and the name was hilarious too. And that was Grotesque Impalement by Dying Fetus.
Oh, shit. Was that the EP?
Yes.
Okay.
And so that has, God, what's the name of the song? I think it's called like Streaks of Blood, maybe?
Sounds right.
Where Kevin Talley's the drummer on that record.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my God, when I heard the double bass and just crushing kind of raw sound of that opened up an entire other, even grungier form of death metal. And let's see here. Next, we would probably hit Carcass. And so that brought more melody into it. That then leads down to like At the Gates and more of kind of what I'm still into to this day, which is the more technical melodic death metal stuff. Mors Principium Est, my favorite band of favorite modern band, I guess you would say. So that's kind of the journey I took from Black Sabbath to Mors Principium Est worship.
Which the through line there is that Black Sabbath is a English band, and their current guitar player is also English or British, I guess.
I think the main thing is just melody. Like, a lot of people are drawn to music for rhythm and kind of, you know, like drummers and people who just love bass, you know, where it's just kind of steady. You know, the same reason people love rhythm guitar. I mean, that stuff is awesome. But for me, it's always been more about melody and leads and just the absolute most expression you can possibly get out of your instrument. And man, what a crazy amount of gold there is in the metal community as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, it's man, it's one of those things where, like, I don't think a lot of the metal community really does appreciate melody a lot.
Yeah.
They kind of go for the chunkier, heavier, you know.
Yeah, they need to listen to some Atheist and some old Death records.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, I guess yesterday was the anniversary of Chuck's death.
And
like
just
19 years
2
ago.
or 3 days from, 16 years of Dime?
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's two of the greats right there.
Yeah, it's... Man, you always wonder with, like, guitar players and musicians dying like that, what more music we could have got, whether good or bad. But, I mean, at the end of the day, like, that music outlives them, and that's something at least.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things, too, where it's like some of them you have to think are lucky enough to basically not be heroes long enough to be villains. Or like they don't live long enough to where they tarnish their legacy with anything stupid and fucked up.
Yeah, especially nowadays. Good Lord. Can't imagine. I mean, even retroactively, some people, you know, are decrying the use of the rebel flag on Dime's guitars and stuff like that.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like,
which,
man,
I mean, hey, I understand for everyone wanting to do away with that, but
Sure.
As far as his and their intentions 25 years ago, you know, I don't think there was anything nefarious going on there. So it does kind of suck that there's things like that people can retroactively look and try to tarnish someone's legacy. But, I mean, I definitely don't think they were racist at all. And
No.
So
I think, because, like, we've watched those...
all the home videos.
Yeah,
the
and, like,
Pantera home videos. They have...
You would think that that's the point that they would be, like, you know, a little unguarded and, like, say stupid shit like that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And, like, none of that's there, man.
No.
Even just regular interviews, like, I don't know. It's weird, but it's cool that, like...
Well, you got to think their dad was heavily involved in country music, and so I'm sure they had a lot of ties to Nashville and things like that. So
yeah. They recorded one record in Nashville?
Yeah, and I mean, my Lord, in the 90s and 80s, you couldn't, roll down the street without seeing the stars and bars everywhere.
Yeah, Jesus.
But
not much different now, still.
Hopefully it'll be one of those things where the legacy of the music outshines any of that bullshit, and, no one will, in 20 more years, it'll be such a moot point, nobody will even, go back and care about anything like that. The music is the only thing that matters.
Yeah, I guess it comes down to separating the art from the artist, but even then, like, I don't know if that's necessarily what you need to do with some people. Like, just do some research. That's all I have to say.
It is weird too, because it's almost like the best art comes from the most tortured people. So it's like you can't get some of the most incredible pieces of just art of any medium if you didn't have complete damaged
pieces of shit.
Yeah, just awful human, which, I mean, that's a whole nother story about looking at people's, and who knows, in 200 years they could look back at how we treat, like, even just anybody in jail and even murderers and stuff and be like, you're all barbarians.
Yeah,
they're sick, they're all sick.
Yeah, that is a whole nother podcast.
Yeah,
talking about
absolutely.
the prison system.
Yeah.
So, when you kind of discovered heavy metal, like, were you already playing guitar, or did like some of those records kind of inspire you to start playing? Because I know you've been playing for a long fucking time, man.
So like growing up, my family basically just listened to kind of Motown, R&B, and stuff like that. It was real crazy. A lot of Little Richard, a lot of James Brown and stuff like that growing up. So not until maybe I was about 13, somewhere maybe even 15, I got more into classic rock, Led Zeppelin, things like that, just through my older siblings. They're 12 years older than me, so eventually when it, hey, listen to this, when I'm about, more of age where they can talk to me about the real shit of music and what is going on. And I just remember, honestly, it was probably something stupid as shit and cliche like Freebird from Lynyrd Skynyrd or something like that. But there was just some random, hell, it could have even been a Tony Iommi solo from Black Sabbath. Just some classic rock solo where I just immediately said, I have to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And so I went out to this long gone closed store called Media Play, which is kind of like
shit, I remember that store.
Yes, it was almost like a Best Buy type place. And I picked up a beginner Squier Bullet for $99 and a Melbay Learn to Play Guitar Volume 2 or whatever. And it had Miss You by the Rolling Stones and a couple other just like real simple guitar licks. And man, I think about a couple months after that, I found some really primitive tablature sites on the internet. And I mean, this is back when like AOL Instant Messenger was how everyone communicated.
Yeah.
Nobody had fucking cell phones to text. We all had to go home and stay up till 4 o'clock on the dial-up internet on AOL Instant Messenger, thinking of our cool away messages. But yeah, just after getting tablature, and like I said, just that roller coaster of like, oh, Black Sabbath leads to this, leads to Cannibal Corpse, leads to Carcass, leads to At the Gates. You just start learning, anything you can get your hands on. And what's really funny is, since I didn't have a guitar teacher, I adopted this absolutely gimped out picking technique. The closest person that I've ever seen, there's two people actually, is I think his name's Steve Morse from Deep Purple and a bunch of other really awesome later Deep Purple, not Richie Blackmore badass Deep Purple, but him, and then Marty Friedman from Megadeth, and just being one of the greatest guitar players of all time. But they're the only two people where I've seen where they kind of make this weird hook with their index and thumb finger, and it's almost like you could say you're attacking the guitar from behind than the front. It's crazy, but it does facilitate extremely fast alternate picking. And so I kind of got into this just habit of just everything was shred, even if it wasn't supposed to be. I would just try to play it as fast as I possibly could. And also another really cool little side effect of that is pinch harmonics and pick squeals happen naturally because you've got so much more meat of your thumb dampening the string after every attack. So that was kind of my cheat code into the dime bag realm too. Like as soon as I could hit that squeal, it's like, oh, I can just fucking quit playing guitar right now. I'm a god. This is it. I mean, I just made, the guitar scream like my hero. So what else is there? Yeah. And so since then, I've had to re-teach myself how to play guitar, just kind of the more traditional standard picking style way, which was agony for about 2 years of just having to break like 12 years of bad habit. But
that's especially with picking, like that is a skill unto itself, man.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
100%.
And I mean, to this day, I still have sloppy picking, but it's weird. It's like for some people, I consider their sloppy picking the best and worst attribute of their guitar playing. It's like there's something so kind of like personal in those weird little mistakes that you can, I don't know, I like those better than I like clean, just robot playing. Sometimes it's cool to have the robot playing guitar.
It's also like another guy that has a weird picking is Andy from Moore's.
Absolutely. He made that YouTube video.
Yeah.
Everybody should go check out where he talks about his weird picking technique. And he does too. Yeah, it's kind of a weird little hybrid of in between of what I was talking about that like Marty Friedman and Steve Morse does, and then just what literally 99.99% of all people who've ever played guitar do, which is weird because I think that's why some of the stuff that with Faith or Flames wrote had such a weird kind of distinct sound because I picked so just stupidly. And that's why I think Morse now has their own signature sound. Same with Marty Friedman.
Yeah.
I mean, you can give me 50 different guitar tracks and ask me to pick which one is Marty Friedman, and I'll fucking nail it probably 9 out of 10 times every time. You know, he has such a distinct. Sometimes if you threw Jason Becker in there, it might fuck me up a little bit, but that's only because they emulated each other from playing together for so long. But yeah, it's weird. It's almost like those weird. Same with Steve Morse too. If you go and listen to, God, what's the name of that band? I know the name of the song. The name of the song is Too Many Notes, and it's spelt weird. It's spelt like TUMEENI or some shit. Too Many Notes.
Okay.
But it is a really awesome kind of example. If you watch the music video, it's a great example of like how weird his picking style is and how it generates the sound that is solely his sound. And yeah, man, I love that so much that it's almost like a weird jazz expression of like it's the notes you don't hear. Well, it's like the notes that you hear that are fucked up in metal that make me like it the most.
Yeah, I know you're a big like I don't know if fan is the right word, but you love like virtuoso and like shred guitar players because I know you introduced me to a bunch of shit like that, like Jason Becker.
Absolutely.
And I know you kind of listen to a lot of like non-metal guitar players like that and stuff, and like obviously those have influence on you as well. So how do you kind of like take both those styles of the shred guitar players and like emulate it, so to speak, in your own style?
So one of the best ways that I've ever thought about melody and soloing and all of that is storytelling. Basically, like every amazing solo that is just like that you can recall, even if you're not a guitar player, that you can hum note for note. It's almost like that they all tell a story. And so when you think about telling a story, you have different parts. You've got your beginning, middle, and end, and there's the climax where the hero is about to get fucking impaled, and then his wizard buddy you thought was dead from 2 acts earlier comes in and saves the day. That kind of shit is what I think about when I write. And the only way you can do that is if you have basically the more elements you add most of the time to a story, or at least the elements that you have available to you to add to a story, the better you can make it. So the same thing goes for guitar playing. It's like if you could combine Paul Gilbert's laser string skipping with, I'll use a modern guy that some people don't even like that much, but Jason Richardson's lightning fast alternate picking that he does, with David Gilmour from Pink Floyd's expressive playing, or fuck it, even Eric Clapton, old slow hand. I feel like the best guitar solos combine, you have to have all of that. Like, how cool is it to hear somebody shred, and then when they get to that highest note, they hold it for 5 seconds to where you feel like you're floating in the stratospheres, you know? Another really cool person who I feel like that is underrated, who understands this more than most people I've ever seen on the planet, is Brendan Small.
Yeah.
From Death Clock and Galacticon and
yeah.
Home Movies fame. It kind of sucks because Death Clock is like definitely a joke, but like his sense of melody is so awesome because of like you can hear Brian May in his metal. You can hear Queen in Deathclock. More to me, more than any other music, it's more akin to Queen than it is to like Slayer. It's fucking crazy, but it's still metal as fuck.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite guitar players that I always point to that has like insane melody.
Oh, Brian May?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, dude.
For the time,
he can tell a story like none other.
Lord.
And so you can hear those kind of elements in Brennan Small's playing, and you know that's why Deathclock has always kicked so much ass.
Yeah.
Even though people would say they're a joke, it's like they've got better fucking songs than 90% of the other metal acts out there.
Yeah.
But shit, I'm off on a tangent. Where did we?
I mean,
how did we even get to? What was I talking about? Brennan Small,
just guitar players.
Guitar players. Oh yeah, melding the kind of like different elements of like classic rock and jazz and everything with metal. And yeah, that's just how you get the best stories. Another really cool person that I feel like understands a lot of that is Spastic Inc. Ron Jarzombek. At least I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Yeah.
Him and his brother Bobby Jarzombeks. But they understand stories so much that they took fucking Charlotte's Web and isolated a 2-minute clip of where the rat goes crazy at the fair that he breaks into in that old cartoon Charlotte's Web movie.
Man,
and they've done a score to it that makes it heavy as shit. So like every time the rat jumps on an article of food, Ron Jarzombek will like have this crushing chord and then do this little like boo, 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 wacky arpeggio every time the rat scurries up something. So it's like his sense of storytelling goes so far as to the fact that he can turn a Disney movie like Bambi into prog metal, just because he has all those elements within his head. He's just he's a wizard.
Yeah, I guess there's a few metal bands that have tried to branch out into like this musical score aspect of musicianship, I guess, like Mastodon being one of them. They did the score for Jonah Hex.
Dude, you know what? Oh shit, are you serious?
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't know that.
Yep.
One of the most random, it's not even really that good, but there's some cool things on it, was when Buckethead made that soundtrack for that horror movie Flesh for the Beast. Have you ever heard that?
No.
Oh man, it's wacky.
Okay.
I think it's the first movie he scored, but Buckethead is once again another one of those fucking guys who has in his hands, his soul is basically there. Like you can listen, you can play some music for me and I can identify that that's Buckethead fairly easily just because of the way he is made up. And in the middle of this horror movie, I think this girl's getting like stabbed with a knife or something like that, and out of nowhere I just hear this inherent like, oh wait, what the fuck? That's Buckethead for sure. Like that weird little like noise harmonic thing that he does that only he does is in the middle of this movie. And sure enough, it kind of distracted from the whole movie. Yeah. And then when the credits roll, soundtrack by Buckethead, it was like, holy shit, that's amazing.
Damn. Yeah, and I guess the new Bill and Ted too. You had Tosin and all those guys did a bunch of the music for that movie, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's nice seeing those guys kind of get other work like that, that they could contribute something to. Because like you said, telling a story. So if you already have a story and you need the music to enhance it, I mean,
dude, it's cool. The speaking of like musicians doing things like that, is how many video games are starting to pick up kind of like what is it, Celtic Frost? That guy did the soundtrack for Slain, I believe.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I know there's like, I guess case in point, Cyberpunk, they're getting bands to write original tracks for like Converge and Two Mold. Did a song for Cyberpunk.
Then
Devil May Cry.
So this is slightly off. This is not really in the metal world, but it's definitely related. The drummer for Necrogoblikon and Veil of Nath, The old drummer for just I don't even know if anybody would remember that band. Anyway, Eric W. Brown. He's an amazing chiptunes artist, and so now he's got just as much fame with him doing the soundtrack for the game The Messenger that came out last year. That was huge. It was a really big indie success. It was essentially the spiritual successor to Ninja Gaiden.
Okay.
And he did the full chiptune soundtrack for it. It's a fucking incredible game, and I won't ruin it, but let's just say he had to do 2 versions of the entire soundtrack, and they are both incredible for the game. And he's working on the sequel right now, and in fact, I think he won several awards last year for best video game OST. Like, he's just crushing it, and he is also one of the best blast beat drummers on the face of the fucking planet. So
man, I didn't know that.
Yeah, which Necrogoblicon is awesome. In fact, they've been pretty busy, I think, recently.
I don't know. I don't really keep up with them too much.
Yeah,
they're hit or miss for me.
Yeah, right. They're another one of those bands where it's like they're obviously joking, but their music is definitely not a joke.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
Which, I mean, fuck, dude. Honestly, that's probably what I love that about metal. That's honestly what I'm kind of trying to do with my synthwave project right now. Is there's a tinge of sarcasm and lighthearted like jokiness to it, but I'm still really proud of the music. So it's kind of a weird, thin line.
That's something I can appreciate too. Like, as much as metal can be serious and cult or whatever, like it's nice to have those bands that can kind of take the piss a little bit and have fun with it, because you need both sides of it. It can't just be fucking brutal all the time.
I think a good life is all about balance. That's pretty much the most important thing in life. There's also a really good that's probably my favorite Shadows Fall album, The Art of Balance.
Is that the blue cover?
That had more of like the greenish, like it was like basically considered like their debut album.
Yeah, that is.
What was it? Not Destroyer of Senses. Is that the name of it? Yeah, that was the name of the song.
That's the one where they're drinking all the beer. That's what it's about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So that God, man, that whole
a formidable record for me too, man.
That was right around Fixation on the Darkness by Killswitch. Lamb of God just put out, I think, As the Palaces, like right then. Yeah, that was fucking wow. I saw all those bands in at the Masquerade in Georgia.
R.I.P. Masquerade.
Yeah, at least the old one, the good one.
Yeah, that venue, man, that was one of my favorites. Even like seeing a bunch of other venues around, that one was always
it was like top 10 in the country for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
God, such tragedy.
Yeah.
The new one, I don't know, like
they have live music.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have a soul at all.
We were in that shitty room that just was like a fucking echo chamber.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh man, this sounds terrible.
And that was still top 5 favorite shows of all time just because of the band.
Yeah. No, that was definitely something. We went to go see Morspert and CBMS, and they don't
Wolfheart.
ever tour. Yeah, Wolfheart.
And
we miss Wolfheart.
Right, because the traffic was so terrible in Atlanta. And then Karak and Gran, which they did a great job. They were
a little sloppy, but it's because they only have one guitar player, and I think he was a fill-in.
Absolutely.
From what I had read later on.
I think the singer actually plays the guitars on the record, but he needs to be animated like he is. He's a fucking character.
Yeah, he does a lot. He does everything from what I understand, and then hires people to like play the shit.
What's the word for that? It's like auteur,
multi-instrumentalist or something.
Yeah, he just
it's like the guy from Wolfheart does the same thing. Like, he fucking plays
Trent Reznor type mentality, which, I mean, hey, there's definitely something that comes from that. Like, I am massively enjoying the freedom to be the only person working on the project that I have currently right now, but at the same time, I haven't collabed or made music with somebody in almost a decade, and now that I'm back in this world, that has to happen. So I will definitely be collaborating more this next year. Well, fuck, plague permitted.
Yeah, plague. I mean, hey, the vaccines are rolling out. That's a good thing.
Yeah, all the people that don't need them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be a weird year, man. I don't know.
Positive. You're right. Positive. Vaccines. Yeah. It's cool. At least we hopefully will be able to have a little bit more.
We'll see
stability.
What happens. It's still gonna be at least 6 months.
Yeah,
I think it'll be summertime before.
Hey, that'll give me time to figure out how the fuck I'm gonna play any of this shit live.
Yeah, gotta start getting a rig built, man.
Right.
So, let's actually. So the thing that I kind of want to talk about, go back into the past a little bit, because I do want to talk about with Faith or Flames a little bit, because it is a very large part of your life and your influence for kind of what you're doing now. So for those that don't know, man, maybe take us through the early days, how the band got together, because I know all you guys in the band, obviously, but for people that don't know you guys. Because I think that, I will say this, I think that both those albums are still worth listening to. I know last year maybe, or a few months ago, me and Matt did sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. We did what do you call it? Bands you may not know or remember kind of deal. And I put some songs on a playlist, and a couple people were like, holy shit, I never heard of this band. And dug it. So
hey man, those were fun times back. God, that's been almost 15 years ago, something like that now, I guess, when we would have started up.
Yeah.
But so basically, fresh out of high school, met up with some guys in this band called Man vs. Tree. It was mostly kind of like a screamo, way more punk influenced with a tinge of metal. Mm-hmm. Basically what it was is screamo with breakdowns, essentially.
Yeah.
So I was just stoked to be in any band, didn't really give a shit about the fact that I didn't really like that aspect of the music.
Sure.
So cut to a couple months later, and our drummer, who is actually pretty much the guy who wrote all the stuff on guitar, started listening to some of the stuff that I was listening to, and Lamb of God and stuff like that, and was like, okay, yeah, we're definitely going in this direction. We need a better drummer.
Nice.
So we picked up a drummer from a band that was pretty much breaking up locally, and he killer drummer. So after we had
was that core or something else?
No, that was core. And pretty much just started writing and ripping off every metalcore band that we possibly could. We went to the mall. I remember we found a Despised Icons record, and it had a sticker on it that said the new kings of deathcore. Mm-hmm. And we were all looking at each other like, we don't know what the fuck that is, but
was that the very first record, the one with the heart on it?
Yeah.
Oh, so that was when they...
Or wait, hold on, did they release one after that? Did it have two skulls or something
the one after that was just that all yellow or gold looking cover.
It actually was that one.
Okay. So that was the second record then.
Maybe that's why I said New Kings of Deathcore. Yeah. Either way, that was the first time I'd ever seen those two words together. And man, wow, in retrospect, what could have been. But anyway, we just started going in both of those directions in our own way. So we were making very hardcore, soup-eating, hardcore kid, hardcore dancing parts, two-step and shit. Mm-hmm. And then death metal, speed, trim-picked, carcass harmony, nasty off-time breakdown shit. And then on top of that, just straight up cookie cutter hardcore breakdowns. Just drum out a fucking pattern, a drum cadence you'd hear from a damn high school marching band.
Yeah. And
play it with open notes. And then maybe after you play it 2 times with open notes, hit that 1 fret on the on the lowest string that you got and just chunk some dissonance for about another two bars.
Of course.
Yeah.
Maybe slow it down a third time.
Yeah. Oh, well, that'll probably be after the song is over. After people think that the song is done, then you hear a cymbal and. But yeah. So that's basically what happened. Is we just kind of went in that direction. started playing with and getting a lot of influence from the local like Christian metal scene, basically, because we're all from the South, so we're in the Bible Belt, so it's not like, I mean, you literally can see 3 churches from your front door a lot of the time from places seriously. That you live here, so that was kind of inevitable. Not gonna lie, saw some of the marketability in going in that route and decided, well, if we just tell people that we are Christians, but not necessarily that the music is Christian music, that'll be okay, right? Fucking terrible idea. All of that just muddied our entire career, basically, going that route.
There was a lot of bands doing that back then.
Oh, I mean, dude. If you want my opinion, every band was doing that back then. The entire scene was just the most hypocritical bunch of crazy shit. And luckily, we definitely were not hypocrites in any of the fashion sense of like the message that we pushed or anything. Like we never preached from stage or anything like that.
Nope. And
so that way, we never took shit whenever we would be super hungover the next day. When all the other bands we were touring with were like, "Anybody want to go get some candy?"
Yeah, I think a lot of it, man, is those Christian metal labels really knew how to market and push
bands.
Oh,
they fucking tried. They held the carrot and painted it gold in front of us. And I mean, for 2 solid years, we had, God, what's the fucking, was it
Solid State?
Solid State, yeah. And then another one. There was another one that was just leading us along like motherfuckers. And I mean, the whole thing kind of, it was just a whirlwind of just weird, two-faced vibes almost everywhere in that scene.
Yeah.
And so towards the end of our career, we basically said, no more touring with those. We need to tour with people we actually like and get along with. So that's why we did the tours with like Salt the Wound, Kill Whitney Dead, and fucking Carnifex, our kindred spirits for sure. But it still was really awkward because we kind of held that kind of stigma over our head no matter what. If you looked up, our MySpace or anything like that, you'd find something on there that would lead back to be like, so are you guys a Christian band? We had to be like, look, man, the world's a complicated place, all right? We don't necessarily agree with religion, but
you got to do something to get your foot in the door.
Right.
I mean, I don't think it sucks that it kind of like fucked you guys over in that sense, but it also wasn't a bad idea to like.
Oh no, I mean it got us on tours with My Children, My Bride, and with Blood Comes Cleansing, and that's where we met a lot of the people that we ended up touring with after that. But it was just still so, it just felt wrong from the jump. After a little while, it just felt like, this is just not who we really are, and it sucks because we're kind of in too deep at this point. But it definitely did lead to some lucrative, kind of offers, which sucks. That's the suckiest part about all that, is you'd think that people in that world are all about positive messages and, just trying to reach the most people for a positive reason. But no, it's dollars. It's always dollars.
Yeah, it's same with like, they take the church vibe of it, and
I won't say who from what label and what, but a high-ranking member at one of those labels that is also in a shitty band told us straight up that our singer was too overweight and needed to lose some weight. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? We're trying to write like death metal and stuff, and you're worried about our fucking waistlines? Like, something is off here.
That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, you're gonna have to tell me who that was off air.
Oh yeah, I will.
Because
it was the bass player for Demon Hunter at one point.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, probably not the current one. Probably not even the current, like the one before the current one, because I don't know anything about that band anymore. But yeah, man, it's crazy shit.
Man, that's fucking weird.
Yeah,
because I know there are some fucking Christian metal bands that had some portly guys in their ranks.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that's wrong, but like, why?
What a
would
weird
you
thing
guys
to get hung up on.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you don't have enough tattoos. You can't be in this band.
Yeah.
Super. Although, man, I've heard firsthand like a story or two about how fucking god damn it, what's that record label that the Faceless is on? Ash. Sumerian. Yeah, the way they tell their bands what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, we talked to Sumerian Records for a little while.
Yeah. What did they want you guys to do?
Man, everything shitty probably. God. Like,
Yeah.
guys, can't you guys just be like all the other bands that are making money? Basically, in not so many words.
So when did you just like change your sound up entirely?
Everything, look, sound, everything. Yeah.
You know, I will say, like, you know, the hodgepodge of different genres and things that you guys were trying to put in the music was part of the charm of it, I think.
Yeah.
And that was like the fun aspect of it too.
Absolutely. That's what we liked. We liked being where you could have some horsey. That goes back to what I was talking about earlier with storytelling.
Yeah.
It's the same thing we felt about our music, at least the stuffs that I contributed. It always was about, well, here's the part where the heroes get on their horses and start riding. Well, it's got to sound like fucking gallop, so let's write a power metal gallop part. The Dark Wizard has shown up, and instead of just normal dark magic, he's using futuristic fucking like golems made of antimatter. And then that's when you throw in like the hardest dissonant breakdown you possibly can.
And wasn't some of Ian's lyrics like kind of story driven too?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like
we
concept,
had
not a full concept album, but
tons of Viking imagery and post-apocalyptic, anti-political, just fucking the whole the full gamut. We definitely weren't doing like the full storytelling thing like some of Blind Guardian or like hey, full circle, Karak and Gren.
Yeah,
they might be the best storytelling metal act I know of. Oh, and Cradle of Filth is good at that too. And, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
That's I mean, I'm not saying that Karak Gangren's bad, but King Diamond's like my.
You're absolutely right. He's the best storyteller. Man, I got two. It sucks. That's one of my. I necessarily wouldn't call it a regret, but I wish I would maybe drank like 2 or 3 beers less the night that I got to see King Diamond, because man,
hey,
by the time he went on, it was that show was almost like a dream state. It was just hazy. And I remember bitches jumping out of coffins and Andy LaRoque's just right up in my face. And I'm like, oh man, this dream I'm having is really awesome.
Yeah, man, I've had a show or two like that where I've just gotten a little too sauced up, and then I'm like,
yeah,
well, I don't remember that event.
Yeah, they tell me I had a good time.
Somebody had a good time. It wasn't me. So the thing that I want to know, I mean, obviously it was an important part of your life, but I mean, how do you kind of like retroactively like look back on doing all that stuff?
Oh no, not a single. Oh, actually, that's a lie. In fact, I don't. I have a weird thing when people say no regrets, because it's like you're looking at it maybe in the wrong way. I definitely have regrets, but if not of anything we did, only things that I would have done harder and done more stupid.
Yeah,
I would have definitely taken way more risks. I would have done so much more stupid shit.
Yeah,
and we did a lot of really, really stupid shit. But yeah, man, it was the most fun. I mean, I'm satisfied with death because of that era of my life.
Yeah.
Like I lived, I feel like 20 lifetimes just in those 10 years of pursuing a fucking independent metal career and only getting the smallest little modicum of a crumb, and it still I wouldn't trade a single fucking second for the world.
Yeah, and objectively, outside of right now, probably the worst time in history to try and do a band like that because of the economic crash and housing market crash and all that shit in 2008.
Hey, I was going to say, let's go on the road in 2008. This will be fine.
$5 a gallon for gas?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
We were basically, that's in our guarantee, most nights was like $100 to $150.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in our gas-guzzling 15-passenger van hauling a 12-foot trailer with full of fucking gear.
There goes your whole guarantee.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, we showed up, and it's like, okay, here's everybody's $5 to eat on for the day. It's like, well, today, I'm going with an only liquid diet. We're going to go buy 2
Some
40s.
golden anniversary.
Yeah. Go buy a 240s or a really cheap fucking shitty 12-pack for like $3 and call her a night.
Yeah, that's man. Yeah, that whole tour we did was like a whirlwind when I think about a lot of it, because it's like I had never really done anything like that. And then like you get out there and you start seeing like all these other guys that are kind of like in the same boat as you. Maybe they're making a little bit more money, but like they're still suffering the same consequences of like.
Oh yeah, there is only suffering.
Yeah, it's fucking a traveling carnival of suffering.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the dark carnival.
They probably actually are one of the few artists on earth that don't suffer. They
Yes.
probably make so much fucking merch money that they're good.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, I guess another cool thing I wanted to mention or bring up is that, like, I'm pretty sure one of the first Whitechapel shows you guys were on here in chat.
Yeah, dude.
Like, we saw all their, like, early shit.
Whitechapel used to open for us on the reg.
Yeah.
They were like one of our favorite opening bands to call and come into town and play with. And it's just so fucking hilarious now to see them in front of like 70,000 people on a foreign festival
Massive.
and shit. Yeah, it's amazing, dude. All those guys are really great, genuine Southern fucking dudes. So I've never been so proud about one of us, at least from this era, or my era of Southern metal, this little clique that we kind of had, and they've definitely taken it the farthest. And oh man,
Yeah, because a lot of those bands are just gone now.
I run into Ben every once in a while because I think one of his grandparents lives in Chattanooga, so we're about an hour and a half away from where they're stationed. But I've run into him an alarming amount in the last 10 years in Chattanooga. Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, super cool.
Yeah, there's man, like, what, the Showdown went away.
Oh man, those guys were. I bet those records kill today. I bet going back and listening to those records, I bet they're so much fun.
1000%. I mean, at least the first one, when they kind of did that Maylene and the Sons of Disaster.
Yeah, dude,
turn.
Their money, the Maylene money that everybody wanted in on, kind of tainted. They're like, oh, let's get a little too Southern drawl with it. It's like, I'm fine with a little bit to let people know where you come from. Maybe a little dime solo here or there, but I mean, you don't have to. Oh hell yeah!
I will say the one band that's kind of like taken up that mantle that's still around is Battlecross.
Oh fuck!
They sound exactly like the Showdown, but better in a way.
So of the.
Well, actually, I don't know for sure. No, never mind. I'm not gonna say it. It's probably dumb.
I consider them to be part of that whole new era of American thrash metal.
Yeah,
like Ex Mortis.
Yeah,
and
fuck that.
Fucking.
That band rules.
Oh God, what was the name of that band? Had a really awesome singer from, what was it, like Wizard something. His name was like Ricky Luna. He's a singer. God, fuck, that's gonna kill me.
White Wizard.
I think that was the name of the band that he was from.
Okay.
But, oh well, I'll have to. That'll be. I'll let you know. You can update your listeners next week. But yeah, it is crazy how many Havoc and like what's that really
Power
badass? There's that really badass Spanish band. I think it's Angeles Patrita or something like that.
Never heard of them.
Oh my god, dude! After this is over, we're pulling up some of them. Don't let me forget that. And I'm pretty sure it's Angeles Patrita. Anyway, yeah. There's been a huge influx of new thrash, and Battlecross to me almost kicked that off.
Yeah, because they've been around for like what, 10 years now.
So on one of my songs on my upcoming synthwave record, I just got this little cheesy, just kind of butt rocky rhythm part. But the tone I used was the Mark Lewis Battlecross tone out of the Easy Mix pack.
Oh,
so
it's like that.
It's that thrash. I wanted that thrash tone, and as soon as I clicked on the Battlecross tone and hit a fucking couple power chords, it's like, well, no need to check any further. This is exactly what I want. So
yeah, there's some good tones in that stuff. At least if you get the right metal pack.
Right.
That is not a non-metal pack.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's talk about some synthwave stuff now. Obviously, over the past couple of years, you've really become a fan of the genre and
Yeah.
been influenced by it. What was the thing you saw that kind of like got you into it?
Oddly enough, it was probably the movie The Guest.
It's a good soundtrack.
It was directed by this guy named Adam Wingard, who I love all of his shit. Another Tennessee boy.
Yeah.
But the movie The Guest, which everyone needs to see, it's so fucking cool.
It is on Netflix right now.
But that kind of led me down maybe a couple weeks, or I don't know how the timeline really works out with that, but I saw It Follows almost directly after The Guest. And
Damn.
I mean...
That is a good soundtrack, too.
That's all she wrote. After I heard that, you know what? Let's rewind a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
Drive.
Mm.
Drive was number one.
Yep.
Then maybe like a year or two later, The Guest comes, and then I saw It Follows. And by the time It Follows, I had in my head an understanding of what synthwave at least was.
Yeah.
And so also right around that time, Spotify was starting to get better about their own aggregated kind of genre playlist and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember finding a synthwave playlist on there that had Carpenter Brute, Perturbator, Ghost, Laserhawk, and Mitch Murder, and done. Just stick a nail in it. As soon as I heard that shit, I was like, wait a second. I hate electronic music and dubstep, really. I just don't like it at all. Why am I loving this so much? And so now that, years have gone by, I've explored the depths, I feel like, a fucking synthwave. And I realized that there's different, just like metal and just like everything else, there's 1,000 different genres. So, retro wave, chill wave, dark wave, all that shit is the same to me.
Yeah.
It's just synthwave. It's just synth music.
Yeah, with just a different story to tell, so to speak.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But it shares so much and similar with heavy metal to me. And see, I'm 35, so I was born in 85, so I'm pretty much primarily a kid of the 90s. And so late 80s, early 90s, there's this like pink and cyan just fucking snowboarding goggles with that weird reflective shit, driving a red Lamborghini with a rocket launcher, that kind of vibe that is just ingrained in my DNA. So I have so much nostalgia for that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's all synthwave is to me, is just basically audio nostalgia. It's and it's cool now that so many people are starting to learn that since it does share so much in common with metal, it's very easy to combine the two.
Yeah.
And it's the results, I feel like people are just now starting. Like the Algorithm, Andromeda, this band called Volcor X, surprisingly enough, Ola, England's new song. But those are like some of the only bands that I know that are truly capturing heavy metal combined with synthwave. So I think as a genre it's just gonna. There's another band, I think his name is Arson Ole, and dude, they've got straight up blast beats with synthwave. Like it is legit.
I would much rather have synthwave mixed with metal than dubstep.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a completely different form of music. It's just fucked up because it is electronic music, and hilariously enough, the same DNA, the same instruments can make both. It's like you can make it. Oh, it's just fucking crazy, man. It's the magic of music.
It is funny though that like me and you and all our friend group used to just fucking relentlessly make fun of dubstep.
Oh yeah.
And then also like a lot of the metal kids in the scene here stopped listening to metal to make dubstep bands around here.
Absolutely.
And I was just like, this is fucking
And now
dumb.
all I want is to just make like the most incredible fucking top down drive at night on your secret cyber assassination mission music.
Yeah. Which I mean, so at this point you've done 3 EPs, right?
Well, I did. So I released a single called "Take the Wheel," then an EP called "Ghoul School," and then I did release a single off this new upcoming album called "Love Electric." That the new album is going to be called "Haunted Reels," and right now I'm still kind of finding exactly what I want my sound to be.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, I love all the heavier aspects and putting in some 8-string drop ass fucking guitars in there. I do really like cheesy, almost oddly enough, a lot of it is like Italian disco. It's like that, just kind of like
Goblin 2.
Yeah.
Soundtrack.
What's so weird is that it is akin to synthwave because you've got that 60 BPM kick, snare, driving everything. Just that, the real slow driving beat that another way, I guess, outrun is another word for the genre.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff I like, to where it has a lot of arpeggios and melody and could almost be seen as like dance music, but in my head it's synthwave.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't dance to it, but that's just me. I am not a dancer,
right.
But I could see like people like playing it in clubs and shit, and just like I don't know. That's like a whole scene that I'm not into, but I know it is very big.
Yeah.
Because I think, were you showing me somebody was like streaming synthwave on Twitch or something?
Oh yeah, there's a couple dedicated 24/7 synthwave channels on Twitch, actually.
Well, it was like a show, and there was like people dancing and shit we were watching.
Oh,
I
man.
think this was a while ago, so like, but I just remember being like, damn, people really do get down to this stuff.
yeah, it's fucking interesting to see.
But I mean, hey, that's that's another outlet and escape for that kind of stuff. But what's some of the gear that you use, and like how you kind of formulate and write your stuff? Like what tools? So, without like giving everything away, obviously.
Because I'm broke as a joke, so I go the free route as much as possible. And what's crazy is I hadn't really messed around with any kind of home recording things in about a decade, up until the pandemic. So now, getting back into it, it's almost like there's just cheat codes everywhere in the best way. Like, as long as you don't have reservations about letting programs handle certain things for you, the sky is the limit, and a lot of it is free. It's crazy. So Reaper is my DAW, free, fully functional, professional grade Reaper, digital audio workstation. And then I went ahead and did spend a little bit of money on the TuneTrack Easy Mix stuff, just because I know shit all about mastering. I don't know any of that shit, and so far the results that I've been getting from it are really, really awesome. I mean, sometimes it takes little tweaks, but it's really cool. Can't recommend that enough. Bias is the best guitar tone emulator you can get in the world, as far as VST, as far as I'm concerned. It sounds amazing, sounds like real guitars. So I've been using a lot of that, and then most of my synth stuff actually comes from this company called UVI, and they just have this. They basically, once you install their workstation on your computer, they have just a ton of different sound banks and different instruments and things that they seem to work and respond and sound better than any other company that I've kind of been messing around with. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you can get hooked up with Reaper, spend a little bit of money on the which the UVI workstation is actually free and comes with a lot of really cool patches. But that, and then a cheap Focusrite audio interface, so you can actually plug stuff into a computer. And oh my God, the amount of YouTube tutorials. There's a really incredible series called Reaper Mania by this Grammy Award-winning music producer that'll teach you everything you need to know to get started. But it's just mind-blowing how much fun I've been having doing this, when I thought a lot of it was going to be a headache. And two, just how accessible making almost any genre of music is in the year 2020, well, now 2021.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's literally an entirely different planet from it was just a decade ago.
Yeah, it's so much easier now, because, I mean, you guys didn't have that back when you were doing those records. I mean,
no way. If we had access to the tones and just the stuff, we would have never have had to shell out money for recording any of those records. I don't see why any band doesn't at least try to produce as much as they possibly can by themselves nowadays. I mean, they've gotten it to a level to where even the entry level, bottom of the barrel, or even free digital music products sound almost indistinguishable from shit that costs, thousands and thousands of dollars. Like, you could not sit there 9 out of 10 times and get people who actually just casually listen and enjoy music to tell you the fucking difference. It's crazy.
No, there's no way.
Yeah.
But I mean, so it sounds like you're saying that a lot of it's digital, but you have a ton of practical shit you use. You have like 3 guitars, you have a bass, you have a full keyboard set up.
Yeah, I made sure to get the cheapest entry level Ibanez 8-string just because I'm not terribly into gent, but I want to be able to gent. And the only way to do that is if you actually have the beef of those extra strings. And then, just my old trusty, like $120 Greg Bennett guitar that there's something with it. I love it so much. I've got guitars that are more expensive, but that's just the one I love using. And then MIDI controllers, Amazon, super cheap. MK2, I think, or MPK2. It's just the Akai, super inexpensive, but it does amazing work. I mean, the pads on it are incredible, and it's another testament to the day and age. Just they've gotten it to the point. It's kind of like TVs.
Yeah.
If you would have told me 10 years ago that you could buy a 70-inch 4K TV for $300, I'd have been like, what the fuck? Well, it's got to catch on fire as soon as you turn it on. But that's kind of how it is nowadays. It's like you listen to some of these VSTi instrument programs, and it's just like there's a fucking real drummer in my computer now.
Yeah.
Like there's someone blowing that saxophone, but it's just me with my finger on one button. It's fucking crazy. So that's something that has been really awesome and refreshing, and has probably spurred a lot of the music that I've been writing in the directions that it has, just out of pure discovery. Just hitting a preset on one of the, a synth in that UVI workstation, being like, oh fuck, this weird calypso beat would go really awesome underneath this, kind of walking arpeggio, and just shit like that happens. And so many people, I think, get caught up in mixing and mastering when there's only really one rule: if it sounds good, it is good.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you are listening to it in your headphones, on your monitors, and you go, fuck, that sounds cool, you're good. I mean, you don't need to obsess about it and wonder what compressor and what fucking amount of reverb and what $1,000 plugin you don't have on your shit. If it sounds good to you, it's going to sound good to anybody.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you need to, like, I think people, like, nitpick and overthink stuff a lot, too, with that aspect of songwriting.
Yeah, one of the most freeing things, like, I just submitted my newest album 2 days ago to DistroKid, and hitting that button and knowing that it's gone, like, it's like you set it free.
Yeah.
And so now I have the freedom to work on anything I want in music without guilt. And even if I could have spent, of course I could have spent more fucking time on that record. I could have spent 2 years on that record. It sounds great to me. I jam it on, this week I've been jamming it in my car by myself, listening to my own shit.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if I'm digging it, and I hate a lot of the music that I've written over the years that people have enjoyed, then surely somebody's going to dig it. And even if not, it doesn't matter. It's out there. It's in the world. It's not the last song I'm going to write.
Yeah.
I've got, I want to be prolific with this project, and the fact that I don't necessarily want to flood the market with bullshit, but I want to flood it with enough music that I like to where it, basically it'll leave a substantial mark. I want a big catalog of awesome electronic heavy synth music when I'm done with this project.
So was there a point in time where, like, you thought you wouldn't be doing music anymore? Like, had you just kind of given it up, or was it something you had always been just waiting for the right time to kind of get back into it?
I mean, life is just, it gets in the way,
Sure.
Like, I had held a kind of a sort of a cushy job for about 11 years where I was getting a steady paycheck, but I mean, there were whole months of those years where I was borderline suicidally depressed over my situation. I literally could buy anything I wanted with my own money. Everything was fine. But there's always that voice that just says, like, you've got so much more to put out in the world. And, dude, honestly, something that I think a lot of people don't talk about and think about, when you're in even a small regional band, or you're in anything where someone is giving you compliments and saying things like, oh, fuck, dude, you're my favorite guitar player, you guys are my favorite band, even if you take it humbly and you take it well, eventually those things become so much of your norm and they build up that you don't realize that you rely on them in a mental capacity. So then when they're gone, it can take years, as it did for me, to realize, why do I fucking hate myself so much? Or at least, what's some reason? Give me something that can tell me, why am I thinking that I'm worth so little now compared to where I was when I had a band? And a lot of it is because no one's telling me that anymore. But you're constantly being told that when you're making art and it's successful. I mean, you literally don't go 24 hours without somebody sending you a message, stopping you, at the mall here, or just seeing you somewhere, or calling you and being like, you're the fucking man, basically. In so many words or less. And so when you hear that day in and day out for a decade in varying degrees, and you don't think about it, and then you go a whole nother decade without it, it takes a while for you to realize, man, my body was addicted to that recognition, and my soul was addicted to that recognition. And when you don't get it, of course, there's this voice in the back of your head that sometimes you don't even know what it's saying, but mine was saying, make some fucking music, And it's crazy the things that we tell ourselves to suppress that thing because of fear of failure. When really we should just be afraid of not failing. We should be afraid of not doing anything at all. That's the only failure. And so it sucks that people have to worry about rent and money and all this bullshit that takes them away from their true purpose in life. And I mean, of course, I listen to a shitload of podcasts where people tell you the exact same thing I'm telling you right now. You got to just do it. You got to just say, fuck it, I'm going to get up and do it. And unfortunately, really unfortunately, it's true. It's the only thing. Like, no one pushed my finger on the button to download Reaper. Nobody put the idea in my head that I had to get to spend all the unemployment money that I was drawing on a laptop that could handle music production. It's just, I finally kind of listened to the voice that was telling me, you are a musician. That's that's why you're here. Even if you have to find something else to do later, at least put something out into the world. Put what's in you out into the world for people to enjoy. Because somebody may need it. Somebody may listen to that one song that you don't even like, that you just put out because it's just, you did it. And it may be somebody's their favorite song. So, that's just kind of something that is weird. And I don't think a lot of people think about how addicted you get to praise when you're an artist, and how when you're forced to give it up for a reason, it can have such an unforeseen toll not getting that praise.
No, that makes a lot of sense, because it's like you're very not you personally, but like it does make you a little bit ego driven, because you're like, oh man, like you were saying, like, I need that fucking feeling. Yeah, absolutely. And you don't even think you do. You don't realize you need it. It's not like I actively sook out, sook? You know what I'm trying to say. I didn't go and seek people out to try and inflate my ego or anything like that. But it's just, if you produce art that people enjoy, they're going to tell you. And we have a tendency with music, and especially in metal, that everything is a little bit more extreme, to where you don't just say, hey, you did a really good job. It's, oh my fucking God, you're the best thing that's ever happened in my entire life. I would have died 27 times if I didn't have your music that came directly from you. So if you think about it, you are directly responsible for saving my life 20 times. It's shit like that, where you're like, oh my God. Yeah, and I think that's something people kind of need to keep in the back of their mind too, that like, we're you're just a regular person like everyone else.
is.
Every musician.
It's impossible to
Ozzy Osbourne, whoever. They're just normal people.
Yeah, it's absolutely impossible for us to differentiate between that, because it's almost like asking someone to truly grasp and understand what any of us go through on the inside.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're all completely individualistic on the inside, on the outside. I feel like we're all completely individualistic spiritually, which is why we have such weird problems trying to come together sometimes, even good intentions on that. And yeah, man, it's just people. It's crazy. People don't realize how much of a toll that can take on you not getting that.
Yeah, I wonder if that's like where people will start getting really unhealthy coping mechanisms too, from like not having that and trying to replace it with something else.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, either fixing it or spiraling out of control.
Yeah.
Like horribly, and trying to murder your wife.
Yeah. Oh God. Well, see luckily it's, some people are lucky in that it's kind of one and the same. It's like the music that is their drug. So as long as they go back to that, not only does it help them, but they might start getting that praise from people for their art that's going to do, amazing wonders for their psyche. But hopefully this time they'll at least understand what's happening. Because, of course, back then I didn't realize that. I didn't think like, 2 kids just came up to me after the show and said something so fucking stupid to me. They said that we were their favorite band of all time. Like, dead in the eye, just looked and told me that. And you don't think about, like, what that does to, like, at that time in my brain, I brushed it off. I was just like, stupid kids, that's awesome. But in the back of my head, to this day, I've always thought, where's those 2 kids' favorite fucking band? I was the favorite fucking band of those 2 kids. Those kids had one number 1 band. It was mine. And I mean, it's just weird how that was one instance. Now put 1,000 weird encounters like that.
Yeah.
And magnify that on a level of like, I don't know, Dave Mustaine or somebody like that. It's got to be insane what that does to your mind, and how I feel bad for metal acts that were literally on top of the fucking world, and then now 15 years later they can't get like a bar gig, and that's probably a very common place, especially out in like California and places like that, with all those sick ass hair metal bands where you got guys that are just like wizards on guitar, but nobody gives a fuck anymore because they were in some older washed up band.
Yeah, I see floating around the internet every now and then, somebody will post a band on Reddit, and then somebody will post a comment like, oh, I work with this dude that used to be in this band, and it's like, shit. Like, yeah,
he's the fucking produce manager at the local Publix, whatever. You're like, wait a second. The guitar player for fucking this huge ass awesome hair metal band for Omen is now the fucking
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, that's what happens. Not every band can be super successful, unfortunately, but
yeah, it's just something weird that I was lucky enough to consciously realize over the last like little decade when I was having such severe depression, of one of the aspects and the reasons of why it might be. Because one of the worst things when you are depressed is just not knowing what the fuck, or if there is a reason. Yeah. But then when you can identify something like people used to tell me I'm the shit every day. I haven't had anyone but my wife tell me I'm the shit in the last 5 years.
I'll start telling you you're the shit, buddy.
Thanks, man. You're the shit too.
Oh, sweet.
But it's one of those things, where like you have that day where I had that realization. I was like, man, that has probably fucked me up in the head really bad, and I've never realized it.
I've witnessed some like level of that weird fanaticism too, where it's like some of the shit that I would see the Carnifex guys have to deal with.
Oh, they had a special. Their fans were way more diehard than the majority of the bands that I'd say we toured with. So
yeah, the weirdest one, I'll never fucking forget this. We were in Canada, and this dude comes up and he's like, I cut my dick listening to your music.
Oh my!
And we're all just like, what? He's like, I cut my dick listening to your music. And like he had like had missing. He was into like
mutilation.
Yeah,
essentially.
and he was like missing his fucking pinky fingers and shit.
Oh wow!
I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Man.
And you know, how do they have to deal with that, knowing that, you know,
they're the reason?
They're the reason.
Yeah, like
this guy's cutting his dick.
Yeah, like. Yeah.
Luckily,
man.
you never, I mean, have somebody come tell you like, "Hey, I'm cutting my dick to your music."
Yeah, you're right. Maybe that was the problem all along. Maybe that's why we were never made.
But anyways, back to your music. Like, what's something that you're like currently the most proud of with it? Whether it's like a track or just doing it in general, like something that you've never really thought about until I asked that.
Yeah, honestly, just hitting submit, just getting over the crippling anxiety of starting a project is filled me with something that I haven't had in years, to the point where now I'm already trying to think of the other project I'm going to fill my distributor slot with.
Yeah.
Like I am so in the groove now of actually making music and putting it out there that honestly the timeline of where they want you to submit music is slowing me down. Like, I have so much more that I could output, but I haven't found the right formula to appease the algorithms, I guess, because unfortunately that's part of it. You want to get your stuff to the most people as possible. So it's just crazy that's like the problem I'm having, is basically I can't put out my music fast enough.
So do you think that maybe there could be some alternate routes where, like, instead of it having to go up on Spotify or through DistroKid, you do something more indie?
Yeah, I've considered doing maybe even like some exclusivity, like a Bandcamp only release.
Yeah.
So super cheap, of course. So like literally as cheap as they will allow me to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And then certain things like that, like maybe even like a YouTube only or YouTube exclusivity window type of thing. Like, here's the only place you can listen to the album for 20 days or something.
Yeah, that's
I'm
not a bad
definitely
idea.
gonna think about more of those in the past, because this is such a new thing. I mean, literally a year ago, I had no music career, no aspirations of making any more music. I was at my kind of dead-end, cushy job. And so now the sky's the limit, basically. Like, another hard thing, too, is I'm really struggling with this kind of genre pigeonholing, basically. Like, I hate the fact that when I submit my music, I can do it under electronica, and then there's not even a synth or synthwave option. Like, it's all and so it's really frustrating to kind of have to rely on genres when I kind of pride my music on being so eclectic, on having like, oh, that was a really heavy 8-string genty guitar, and now there's like a funk hi-hat disco beat with some arpeggios.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. They don't let you pick multiple.
I mean, because you don't want to do experimental, because it's like it's not really that experimental.
No,
but I also don't want to do like disco, because people are going to get the wrong impression. So that's something that's kind of shitty. But I mean, I'll probably figure either that, or they'll eventually add they'll add synthwave. I mean, my God, it's such a huge genre. They have multiple official Spotify playlists for it. So.
Yeah. Dude, maybe send them an email. Be like, add synthwave, motherfuckers.
Well, and two, it's like if I actually dialed in on what genre I would be, it's almost like I love the cheesy dad rock solos that I cut on a lot of these tracks. So it's almost like comedy to me in a way too. It's weird. It's like it's art. Yeah. It's just the easiest way to express it. It's the way I think good art should be. It's kind of like you would just have to listen to it and go, "Huh, this is a little bit of everything." It makes me feel a way. Hopefully that way is good.
I mean, the cool thing about the music too is like a lot of your like personal interests and influences have been put into the music. Like, me and you both play Magic the Gathering a lot, and one of your tracks is named after a Magic card.
Yeah, named after my poor little kitty cauldron familiar. Shouldn't have got the band. Got a band hammer as bullshit.
It's only banned in standard.
You're right.
You can play it in Commander and wherever else you want.
Oh, it's in my Commander deck. but yeah, like the horror movie aspect too is heavy right now. But I don't necessarily want that to be the only thing.
No.
So that's the hardest part, and also kind of a fun challenge is just kind of the right balance of what the fuck genre am I? How far in all of these directions do I want to take my music, and how's the best way to kind of label it only in hopes that people will be able to discover it. Because I don't necessarily want to ever put a label on it, but I mean, it is what it is. It's like it is synthwave-y. Yeah. So you got to call it something, unfortunately. At least at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know, the metal has that same fucking problem, man, with like all
Absolutely.
the subgenres, and it's just like, man, I'm okay with like death metal, black metal, heavy metal, but outside of that, like
post-industrial void gaze or whatever.
Fucking gent. I don't know. It's all personal preference, but I just call it metal.
That's what's so weird too. The way that I listen to music now is just all through liked songs on Spotify that are suggested to me. Yeah. So it inherently has almost destroyed genres. So because if I go to my Spotify and I want to listen, I usually just hit shuffle play on all my like 3,000 saved songs, and if it could be sick, brutal, like Archspire or something like that, and then I could hit next, and it could be a jam band from Colorado called Sun Squabby. Like I like that eclectic kind of jump around nature, because you can always just hit fucking next if you don't want to listen to that particular song. Yeah. But most of the time, that's how my taste fluctuate. It's like I would love to just sit here and listen to this kind of music and then this kind of music, all one right after the other. And I don't know if that's just me having musical ADD, or if Spotify has warped my personal music ingestion method, basically, over the years, that's just the only way I can listen to music now.
It's definitely changed mine, because I remember before I got Spotify, I would just listen to whole records all the way through. Yeah. Like, this is what I'm listening to today. Now it's like, oh, let's see what is in my daily playlist.
Exactly.
And it's either like, yep, I'm in the mood for that, or it's like, this has like one or two songs I want to listen to, and then it's like you were saying, where there's one where it's just like every fucking weird thing that I listen to, from like metal to non-metal, and I'm like, how do they know this is what I like, my algorithm or whatever? Like, it's just insane how well they fucking do that.
Yeah. Mine was spot on until my 2-year-old little boy accidentally played "What Kind of Fool Do You Think I Am" by Leroy Parnell from 90s country. He somehow got my phone and played that, and I, for whatever reason, didn't pull Spotify up for 2 days. So he was my number one played Spotify artist. Like, my Wrapped was "What Kind of Fool Do You Think I Am?"
Oh my god!
Holy shit! And what the fuck? I never listened to this song, and then it was like, you streamed Leroy Parnell over 100 times in a row. You listened to "What Kind of a Fool Do You Think I Am" for like 48 hours. I was like, what the? What?
Oh my god!
So yeah, my algorithm for Wrapped is like, your favorite genre is singer-songwriter, 90s country and western. It's like, thanks.
Yeah, mine was so weird. This is a good segue. We're going to talk about some end-of-year shit here, but yeah, mine was really weird because it said the most listened to genre was deathcore, but then if you look at all my top 10 artists, there was not a single deathcore band. It was all 80s, like, not necessarily synthwave, but like 80s artists, like the fucking Chameleons and Queen and shit. I'm like, where's the deathcore here?
It could be that you maybe like either put one song on and fell asleep or something like that.
Which happens. My phone does, like, I hit it in the middle of the night when I'm listening to podcasts.
So, I mean, the Spotify's definitely crushing it with their algorithm, but it's not perfect.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny because there wasn't a single one on there. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, deathcore. Come on. Not that I don't listen to it. There's good deathcore out there. I'll say it.
Oh, yeah. There's good everything.
Well, there's not good new metal.
Oh man, yeah, there is. Sure.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay, what's a good
All
new
right.
metal band?
So a good new metal band. Okay, so maybe there's no good new metal bands, but there are definitely fun new metal songs.
Okay.
Like what was that name of that song? What did it was that Nonpoint?
Man, I don't know.
No. That wasn't Nonpoint. God,
See?
I'm not
See?
about to sit here and go through all the fucking awful new metal bands from like Head PE and stuff that I remember.
It sucks, man. It's making like a weird comeback too, and I hate
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I remember when
everything
like I
about
heard
it.
that what was that band Issues?
Yeah.
It's like, is this is like all the bad things from the 90s mashed into one.
Yep. It's awful.
Yeah.
But hey, those of you that enjoy it out there,
Oh yeah, it takes
enjoy
all
the
kinds.
fuck out of it.
Yeah, I mean, where would we be if there weren't for people who like to do things that I don't?
So yeah, man, let's talk some end of year records here.
Sucks. It's a little slim pickings for me this year.
Yeah, my top 10 was all right. I mean, there's definitely some stuff that
I don't even think I have not compiled a top 10.
I definitely, I had to pad it a little bit because there were definitely not. I mean, there were some good records, but it was just like, man, there wasn't a lot that came out that like stuck with me this year, I would say, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pull up my top 2020 songs, see if we can talk about some metal records.
So I'll go through like my top 5 and then, not top 5, bottom 5 real quick, and then kind of extrapolate a little more the top 5.
Cool.
So my number 10 was this band called Svalbard. I think that's how you pronounce it. The record's called When I Die, Will I Get Better? It's a pretty good record. I mean, it's like very melodic-y, screamo, black metal-ish in a way. It's weird. I can't like pin down the genre.
That name would more indicate like a folk metal type thing to me.
Huh.
Svalbard, but
Yeah.
I guess yeah, that's crazy.
But even then, like the way I just described it was terrible because it's not even like it's such a weird genre expansive kind of record, but pretty good. I enjoyed it. I didn't listen to it a whole lot, but
very cool.
More than most things, I would say. My number 9 was this band called Swethin, The Eternal Resonance. It's kind of like a proggy death metal album. Definitely, you have to like sit down and like listen to this record because it's like 10-minute songs.
Oh, okay.
Long.
Better in headphones with maybe like
100%
closed eyes. Yeah.
yeah. It's a good record, man. There's definitely some crazy like musicianship riffs and solos on there that you're like, God damn, like, but the vocals are kind of
yeah. I barely hear vocals anymore.
Man, I do. That's still the one thing that will make or break a band for me. The vocals are shit. I'm just out. I'm out.
You definitely know I can handle some shitty vocals. I like a ton of bands with bad vocals.
I mean, to be fair, I do too, but in that old 80s goth rock vein, Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, some Sisters of Mercy. Although I fucking hate Joy Division, and that guy, man, his vocals are awful. Sounds like he's singing bad karaoke drunkenly. Let's see. My number 8 was the Draconian record, Under a Godless Veil. I mean, fucking Funeral Doom at its finest. I fucking love that band for years now. They've never put out a bad record, in my opinion, and this is no exception to that.
Very cool. Love Doom.
Yeah. The next one was Tombs, Under a Sullen Skies. Longtime supporter of the podcast, Mike. His band put out a new record. It's fucking incredible, like melodic black metal. I mean, I let you listen to that song one day, and you were like, God, what the fuck is this? And I was like, yeah, dude, I don't know. Like, this is the best thing they've ever done.
Yeah, that's super awesome.
Yeah, great record. Great record. Definitely check them out if you haven't already from listening to the podcast. Let's see. 10, 9, 8, 7. My number 6 was Beneath the Massacre, Fearmonger. I mean,
my God,
it was good to just have Beneath the Masker back.
And yeah, in any
and
form.
for it to be that kind of a record, I mean, yeah, incredible, absolutely incredible. Obviously, I don't know if they're ever gonna tour on it, but I hope they do, and I hope I can see them again, because man, those guys kill it live, and monster is a guitar. So those are my bottom 5. What are some of yours, and then we'll go.
All right, let's see here. I'll just do 5 because I don't have any numbers. Just kind of 5. We'll all call these honorable mentions. Or
Sure.
We'll just call them all winners.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see here. And we're going for metal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got some non-metal stuff I want to talk about after this.
All right. So let's see here. First one that comes up. Oh yeah, this technically came out at the very end of 2019, but I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that counts.
It's this really badass tech metal band called Echopraxia.
Okay.
Just wacky guitars all over the place. Really cool shit. Well, here's kind of a synthwave band, but they have a shitload of awesome metal elements. They're called Volkor X. So VOLKORX. Let's see.
Yeah, I think
going.
I've heard those guys in your car a couple times, and
Yeah,
I've been like,
dude,
God damn, this is like.
Yeah, it's almost like a heavier, like old school explosions in the sky type, just soundscapes,
Yeah.
basically ambient soundscapes,
That's
but
good.
they get way heavier and add way more synths. So you know how I love that shit. All right, so then we got Staccato Metal Gods. In fact, I think this is actually just one dude, but it's called The Raven Autarky. And autarky is spelt, I think it's like autocratic. So, but anyway, it's spelled AUTARCHY. So it looks like autarchy.
Okay.
But yeah, it's, if you like Within the Ruins, there's literally no way you can not like this band, because I mean, it's interchangeable. Like, he is tuned into their little stop start kind of melodic songwriting method that they're basically one and the same band to me, and I fucking love it. So it's great. And then let's see here. So we've got a couple more. This is crazy. This is almost like they're an instrumental band, and they actually do a lot of stuff almost like Between the Buried and Me used to do. It's really long songs, could start out clean with like accordion, weird shit, and then get just traditional prog heavy as fuck. It's this band called Their Dogs Were Astronauts, and they are surprisingly legit. Like, I guarantee you'll listen to them and be blown away by their musicianship. It's amazing. And they've got a huge catalog too, with a lot of really diverse kind of sounds on it. But they get heavy. All right, let's see here. Moving right along. Okay, yeah, here we go. I can pause on this one. This is another band that is just instrumental, gent, heavy madness, basically. It's called Modern Day Babylon. And once again, I think it's a singular producer, and he just crushes a guitar, but he also incorporates a lot of really cool synth elements in there. He actually kind of reminds me a lot of Mendel.
Oh,
which,
from
Aborted. Yeah, that guy's got a new record out,
Yeah.
and I haven't listened to it yet, and I can't believe I'm not listening to it right now.
Did it just come out?
Yeah, I think literally in the last 2 weeks he put a record out.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, so I can go ahead and say that that's going to be one of the best records that's put out this year is Mendel. In fact, fuck it, I'll just finish mine since I'm getting kind of close.
Go for it.
Just firing these off. So we can't forget Andy Gillian's solo album. Gotta listen to that if you like metal. Let's see here. And, of course, Mors Principium's new album.
Yep.
It's fucking unbelievable.
That's in my top 5.
And so the old drummer from Intervals, at least he was on Intervals record, and he's got a couple solo records. His name is Anoop Sastry. He is got this project with this guy, at least I think it's just one guy, called Grimzee, Grimzee. And their single came out this year, and it's called Tape Shift. And it is fucking awesome, man. It's once again a little bit of everything prog. It's just like djenty, soft parts, synth parts in there, ripping guitar solos, and Anoop's drumming is, oh my god, he's amazing. Let's see, probably getting close to the end of what I've got on my. So the blast beady synthwave band I was talking about earlier is called Elay Arson, and that's spelled ELAY and then the word arson, ARSON. Really, really heavy synthwave.
And you know, I was just realizing, I think another band that doesn't, or maybe they get credit and I just don't know it, but Animals as Leaders.
Right.
They kind of fuse. They didn't necessarily fuse synthwave, but they had electronic music.
A lot of electronic. Yeah, you're right. Let's see here. Oh yeah, we might as well mention Gorod's EP they put out this year.
Shit.
Lost in Osaka, or not Lost in. That was the name of that song. It was like, what was it called?
I didn't even know they put out a fucking EP.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
Damn.
It's really awesome too. Here we go. That album was called Kiss the Freak by Gorod.
Castle Freak.
Yeah.
We watched the remake of Castle Freak last night.
And man, it is freaky. Definitely. So yeah, the only other metal band that I've got on here is a song called Animus by Monuments off their new record. And I don't like all their stuff, but this track is fucking killer. And I know a lot of people would really dig that whole record. But yeah, it was a little bit of a slow year for metal for me.
Yeah, I think same thing here, man. Like, even the stuff that did come out just didn't stick with me.
Yeah.
Like, most of it just kind of came and went, and I was like, oh, that came out this year. Huh.
Guarantee there's going to be a lot of good metal come out next year, though. A lot of motherfuckers have got a lot of time and a lot of negative emotions.
Yeah, it seems like that's been the consensus too with like most people that I've talked to is like, oh yeah, we're already like, we got stuff ready to go. And I was like, jeez, fuck, like,
yeah,
might as well though.
Yeah, nothing else to do.
All right, so my top 5. Number 5 was the Carcass EP that came out.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I mean, any new Carcass is good Carcass to me.
Legends.
And man, I know it was a little bit divisive. People didn't really like some of the song compositions, but man, I don't know. I thought it was pretty killer. There's some fucking heavy parts, and there's some old school Carcass parts, like where they did the grindcore kind of shit that they used to do. And best of all worlds, 5 songs. I mean, that just means like whenever we're gonna get an album, it's gonna be fucking way crazier than that shit.
Yep.
So I don't know. I thought it was good. Number 4 is a recent release, but I already knew it was gonna be on my end of year list. That is Scour, the Black EP. That is Phil Anselmo's blackened death metal band with Derek Engelman from Cattle Decapitation and Pig Destroyer. I am forgetting his name. One of the guys from Pig Destroyer is in the band too. Apologies for forgetting his name. It's
mean, man. That record is fucking mean.
Yeah. The track Propaganda is like just a god. It's just got a really chunky, nasty fucking rhythm riff in there, and Phil's vocals are insane on it. And I mean, 2 years ago when they did the Red EP, that was on my end of year list. I mean, when they finally do a full length, which I've been told they are doing very soon, I'm sure it'll be fucking nasty as hell.
That's awesome.
Let's see, my number 3, Morris Principium est.
Hell yes.
7.
The Kings.
Probably their best record with the Andy Gillian years, in my opinion.
Whew, man.
In my opinion.
I can't even go there.
I don't think it's their best record overall. I still, maybe it's just personal bias. I still think that
Liberation equals termination.
Yeah, I mean, that's untouchable.
That is truly. My wife actually asked me what was my Desert Island song. Was it 2 days ago? And I told her without even skipping a beat, Finality.
Yeah.
by Morris Principium
Yeah,
Est.
that whole fucking record, man. It's
It's my
like
favorite song of all time and will always be.
perfect guitar tone, perfect song structures.
Yep.
I mean, it's rare to get an album like that.
It's
And
what's so amazing that Andy has taken up that same like spirit and made it
100%.
his own. It's amazing.
That's been the craziest thing about him being in the band. And like he kind of mentioned this when I had him on the podcast, but he was like, I just had like you were saying, he literally said, like, I have a role to fill. I know how to fill that role, and I do it to the best of my abilities.
Yep.
I was like, man, why? Honestly, like, they could have never said you were a different guitar player, and nobody would have noticed.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
how-
sure there's probably somebody out there who's not very connected to the internet that thinks that Morris has had the same lineup for 20 years.
Yeah. Which is cool, though, because I guess, like, sometimes when they play shows and Andy can't get to them, the original guitar players still play.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
That's really awesome.
And rare, because I guess I heard they had a falling out. I don't know the particulars of that kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
My number 2 is literally probably one of the heaviest bands in existence right now. That is Primitive Man, Immersion. I just don't even know how to describe any more adjectives of heavy, because that's just what it is. It's fucking crushing, world crushing. It's just stupid how heavy they are, man.
Pachyderms.
Yeah. And my number 1, Wolfheart, Wolves of Karelia.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, god damn it, that band. Again, another band that has never put out a bad record.
Yeah.
And I'm a recent fan. Like, me and you just discovered them a couple years ago with their last album. But, you know, going down that rabbit hole and listening to their old shit, it's like, fuck, they've never put out a bad record.
That dude's got an ear for riffs that is just insane, man.
Yep.
And I mean, all the playing, all the leads, all the drums, everything's great. But every once in a while, he'll hit a riff where I'm like, God, I wish I wrote that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, like it's the same, very similar to some of the Morris Principium Est stuff, where it's just like that is just the frequency that my mind in metal operates on. Like I'm writing that exact gallopy, just melodic, tell a little tiny story in this riff note wavelength. I mean, that's just it's crazy how much they nail that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best guitar riffs of the past few years is in Valkyrie.
Oh my God, Valkyrie has
good
I
Lord.
mean, it has.
That whole song.
Ugh. Yeah, the intro gallops are incredible, but when he hits that first verse, yeah, oh man, it's so sick. Go listen to that song right now. It's so good. Valkyrie by Wolfheart.
The song that got me on this record is like something of fire. I'm blanking on the name. Anyways, they did a video for it, but yeah, that's like the standout track on that record, and that's my number 1 pick. I mean, I listened to that record more than all these records, so I feel it's only fair that it's number 1.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they're one of my favorite bands, so
Yeah, hell
why
yeah.
wouldn't it be? Biased, I guess, but that's the cool thing about end of year lists. Everybody has something different because of what they like. So
Right.
that's like the cool thing about hearing all the different lists that get thrown around out there. Not saying everyone's right or wrong.
Nah, there is no wrong.
Unless-
Somebody out there's favorite album.
But really, I just want to tell you my true number 1 is Trapped.
There you go. You just hit the nail. You just hit the nail on the head.
Dude, I played a part in them getting banned from Twitter.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't know how many other people did it, but I started reporting every single tweet of theirs. Every single one. And then the next day after doing that, they got banned from Twitter.
That's awesome, man.
And
that
I was
guy's,
like, holy shit, it fucking worked finally. They're banned from Facebook, banned from Twitter.
yeah, dude, that guy's definitely got some very misinformed opinions.
Well,
It's rather unfortunate.
it's because he's so headstrong. Oh, man.
Ah, man, that's good.
Well, Weatherford,
Yeah, man.
it's been good doing a podcast again, man.
Dude, this
We used
has
to do
been-
these all the fucking time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try. I can't believe it's taken me years to get on one, but fucking kids and depression and everything else, you know how it goes. But this
Yep.
has been a blast. And if anybody wants to support me, they can with Shredderford.
Yeah,
Pretty
please.
much all things Shredderford. I'm at Facebook and Instagram, and I sometimes all my music's up on YouTube, all my music's on Spotify, and that's just SHREDDERFORD, Shredderford.
I forgot we didn't even talk about that, like the name.
Oh yeah, yes. Hey, that's how these podcast things go.
Yeah.
Man. Unless you have like note cards, which who needs that shit?
No, I used to do that in the early days, and it actually hindered me more than
Because
like
then you
anything.
just talk to the note cards and you don't go off on all the really fun tangents about wacky shit like we just did.
So I guess, obviously the last part of it is your last name, because for those of you that, obviously don't know, but like I said, his name is Eric Weatherford, but everybody calls him Weatherford.
Oh yeah, I've been Weatherford for longer than I've been Eric.
Yeah.
So it only made fitting when I wanted to make a project that was cheesy, had guitar, like as fun guitars I could possibly play on it, and also was in this new synth vein. It just kind of happened. It was just immediately like, oh, Shredderford, that's what this is.
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes sense, man, because like obviously like you shred on guitar and your name's Weatherford, but it's got Shredder in it, and you love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah, dude, that art, we're doing a little people will know my love for the TMNT very soon.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things with that name. But yeah, if you guys just support him. This is a new artist. This is my friend, obviously, so there's some bias, but I mean, if you don't like synth music, go check out his old band. Maybe you'll like some of that shit. I realize synth isn't for everybody in the metal scene, but I promise you, give it a chance. Check it out. Find something new out there.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.